always made happier when I see this radiant face. This guy zigs when others are zagging. You don't care about journalism. You hate journalism. He's great at journalism, better than just about anybody. And if you're a murder podcast person, he's not interested in the good murderers. He's interested in very bad murderers.
Wow.
Not
enough with these good murderers, man. I'm sick and tired of
enough
them.
with these good murder podcast content
I'm
things.
tired of them.
He wanted to go another way. Ronan Farrow with us. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative journalist, obviously contributing writer at The New Yorker. He's got a new Audible original podcast, Not a Very Good Murderer, and he explores the fact-checking process with a volatile source. By accident, we didn't actually do this on purpose. We were talking about journalism and the fact-checking process, and I'm wondering, Ronan, when you don't have a credible source or you have a volatile source, what goes into the reporting of this particular story? I'm always interested in the subjects that you choose, and thank you, as always, for joining us.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. It's always such a good conversation with you guys. I try to capture over the course of the 4.5 hours of this series the answer to that question. I feel like this series doesn't neatly fall into one category. It's not one thing. And one of the layers of it is at a time when the press is under attack, right? There's dwindling trust in the press. I wanted to show the mechanics of how a journalist goes about vetting, in this case, a really politically explosive allegation. And, I headed off into this wealthy, gated community in the desert, Paradise Valley, Arizona, to try to assess the question you raised. It was the source at the center of this credible. And then you have these other layers that flow from this. You mentioned volatility, a relationship that is the backbone of this series that is really wild. I mean, this is about a former pageant queen. Her name is Cece Doan. And as I'm vetting her, I start to realize that she's been connected to this improbable series of unsolved crimes. There's, an arson allegation. There's a period of time where the FBI investigated her for allegedly sending death threats to her own family. There's a police investigation into whether she tried to hire a hitman to kill one of her husbands, and then another investigation into whether she tried to kill another husband with Viagra. Overdosing him deliberately was the claim. As I looked into that, to your point about volatility, the relationship with her became really complex because she wouldn't stop calling, and she kept coming back for more interviews. So there was clearly an attraction there, but also she was furious. And at one point, she threatens to punch me, actually now, as of our latest conversations, multiple points. So you get to really see this kind of rise and fall of a very intense, complicated relationship. And then finally, I thought that this series was consequential because she represents someone who's at a lot of our dinner tables, at a lot of our Thanksgiving meals, in a lot of our communities. She is very, very steeped in the kind of Fox News Breitbart spectrum of, at times, I'll just say it as a reporter where I'm very committed to the facts. It's disinformation at times. I'm not saying everything on those platforms falls into that category, but some of the things that she embraces, like the idea that Donald Trump won the 2020 election, the idea that Barack Obama is a Muslim. There are certain things that come up in our conversations where it's clear that she represents a really significant part of this country's population in terms of disinformation culture. And that's something I'm very interested in. So the show kind of becomes a blueprint for not only can I solve these crimes and can I use this person as a source, credibility-wise, but also how do we deal with this phenomenon in our culture of people who live in denial, maybe as in this case, about themselves and also about the world around them.
So did she trust you, and did you now confirm her already held belief that the media can't be trusted?
I think that any treatment of this subject, no matter how delicate and sensitive and meticulous in the fact-checking, was going to trigger a firestorm, and in her eyes, a confirmation of, the untrustworthy leftist qualities of the media. I will say that over the course of this series, one of the leitmotifs that emerges is blackouts, that she claims to have blacked out her memories of many of these alleged crimes. You know, her response in a lot of cases isn't a firm denial, it's a, well, I don't remember. And she attributes that to a combination of struggles with alcoholism, which, you know, I think is a part of the series that a lot of people and a lot of families will relate to. There's a very forthright discussion of the substance abuse part of this. And also, I think, to just not wanting to confront some of this stuff. I think it's a mix of both. And so the silver lining here, in answer to your question, is there are parts of this show where she actually starts to confront some of these things she's done in her past and to acknowledge, well, maybe it's possible I did do this. Maybe it's possible I did say this. And like members of her family, for instance, have reached out to me. It's a very complicated portrait of a family as well. And she's, you know, been accused of being abusive by her kids and so on. People have reached out and said this is a really cathartic series for them to watch within that family. And I've been also heartened to hear from people not connected to this family who have just listened to it out in the world and said, this reminds me of my mother, this reminds me of someone I know, and it's helped me process.
Ronan, I'm sorry to do this to you in a public fashion, but Billy's quite the anarchist today, and he's pointed out to me, how can we trust anyone in journalism when this person, who's a Pulitzer Prize winner, clearly has fake books behind him? And
thermostat growing out of one of your books there.
We can't trust this person either, Billy's saying to me, and I can't even hear what you're saying because he's saying you're not trustworthy because everything behind you is almost literally fake news.
Is that a real guitar? I don't even know anymore.
The guitars are not wallpaper. The keyboard is not wallpaper. The books are wallpaper, and you would be shocked how much conversation I wind up in about the wallpaper. Like, people see the wallpaper, they love the wallpaper, they feel betrayed by the wallpaper when they learn that the wallpaper is a stylized rendering of a library. I promise you, in person, it's not pretending to be real books. Like, it's painterly. The texture of it is not, you know, photographic. It's supposed to be impressionistic. I didn't want real books in here. I wanted a painting. But yeah, I apologize. Those books are fake news.
What's your favorite fake book that you've read from your wallpaper?
You know, I think I did at one point, like lean in really close and try to ascertain whether there's a title you can see. I don't think they're designed to have like full titles on them. So
can you find one? Do you think? Can we find one? Can we have you waste your time by scurrying around and trying to see if you can find a single real thing?
That's going to require a separate booking, guys. You know, what we should do really is you should just report that there's some deeply cancellation-worthy book on this fake shelf. You know, there's a fake Mein Kampf on this fake shelf.
We were all four of us
I was about to say
jumped
that,
up.
but he took it.
We were all gonna at the same time. We were all gonna yell Mein Kampf, but I didn't want the consequences
I knew you were.
of that.
I just figured I'd do it for you.
I was going to go the Dr. Seuss route, but
You also released earlier this week for the New Yorker, and I'm telling you, I am a deep admirer of this person's work because he's so meticulous about what he chooses and how he reports it. But your report on why the police refused to investigate a serial rapist, Sean Williams, and the prosecutor who blew the whistle on that, can you tell us how you came to report all of that?
In 2021, I got an encrypted email from a person claiming to be a federal prosecutor and saying that they were chasing the case of they thought maybe historically prolific predator and being obstructed by the local police. This person thought that the cops might be protecting the alleged perpetrator. And it was such an incredible claim. And as I dug in from there, the specifics were so wild that I wound up spending 4 years just looking at every facet of this case and immersing myself in hundreds of pages of legal documents and interviewing dozens of people on the ground in Appalachia, where this takes place. Wound up being about this prosecutor, Kat Dahl. She really was a federal prosecutor, and she had been assigned to Johnson City, East Tennessee. And she started to track strange events around a local businessman, a guy named Sean Williams. There was a woman who fell out of his fifth-story window. There was another woman who left his apartment, super out of it, seemingly drugged, and was panicked and went off the road. She realized there had been years of police reports from women claiming that he had drugged and raped them. And various pieces of evidence recovered around him started to lead her to believe that he might also be preying upon children. And as she worked on this case, actually, a bunch of people allegedly were assaulted while she failed to get the case across. So it became this kind of passionate obsession for her. And the local cops seemed really uninterested in pursuing it. And you can read in this piece in this week's New Yorker all of the details of the ways in which they behaved strangely and through some combination of neglect, lack of interest, just incompetence, and this is one of the things that emerges as the piece goes on, potentially corruption. They let him get away over and over again. I'm talking about she finally struggles and struggles and struggles to get an indictment against him. And then he goes on the run successfully for more than 2 years in total. He at one point gets caught by officers on a college campus by complete coincidence and is taken into custody and then escapes from a moving police van. I mean, it's stuff you don't expect in the present day. And over my years of reporting on this, the alleged perp, this guy, Sean Williams, when he finally was in custody, started to tell me, well, through an associate of mine, was paying off the cops. They deny this, but I present all of the evidence and people can come to their conclusions.
That's led to a new request for the reopening of discovery, right?
Yeah, there's now motion in some of the cases around this. There's a bunch of both civil and criminal proceedings that have flowed from this. And in at least one of the civil cases, there's been new filings based on some of this reporting. So maybe we haven't heard the last of this, and maybe there'll be more answers. I do think that one of the reasons that made me want to put this out now is that it's a story about state and federal oversight systems failing. And as I was reporting on it and saying like, hey, why didn't the FBI look at this more? Why didn't the Department of Justice writ large look at this more? Why doesn't this community have answers to these answerable questions about whether the cops were being paid off? What I started getting back in response to those questions was people saying, hey, buddy, the offices that you're asking for more and better accountability from are getting destroyed right now. So the Trump administration is dismantling a lot of these corruption oversight apparatuses, a lot of the systems for whistleblowers like the one in this story to come forward. They fired the head of the Office of Special Counsel, which is the office responsible for enforcing the Whistleblower Protection Act. They've done various other things to try to erode the space for whistleblowers to come forward. They have downsized the public integrity section at the Department of Justice, which is the office that should be looking at corruption claims with respect to police around the country, to just a skeleton crew. So I think it's important as people read this to also have them know, like, this is why we need federal systems of oversight to protect people around the country. And what I'm being told by people around this case and other experts is with the absence or diminishment of those systems, we're a lot more likely to see more cases like this go unchecked.
He is the face of horrifying news. Listen to his new Audible original podcast, Not a Very Good Murderer. It is available now. Honestly, like meticulously
His
gathered.
face when you said that was
Well, but
just
it's just
mortified.
horrendous. I mean, it's just horrendous.
I'll take it.
I mean, just horrendous. Like you hear him talking, and it's like, oh, that's scary. That's terrible. Okay, good. Talking to you, Ronan. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Not really.
Thanks, guys.
I'm going to wait until a home run is hit, preferably on the very first pitch the Marlins throw this season, to talk about the Marlins' new home run sculpture, because they moved out a multi-million-dollar colorful fiasco that David Samson loves, but very few other people did, and now have a new home run thing that spews water, and so we'll all get to see that together and then talk about it. David Samson, incidentally, in the postgame with JuJu Gotti, we're finally going to do that germaphobe-off to see which of them is a little bit crazier, so that's coming up in a little bit. But before we do that, because I'm unsatisfied with our tournament, I want to create another tournament, and I just want to play a bunch of iconic sounds here and get from you guys what the seedings on this are and should be. So the 16 seed in a different tournament, the one I'd prefer to do than the one Billy and others are trying to passive-aggressively bother me with, but is a great celebration of our fans who are in general population.
You love so much, yeah, more than anyone. By the way, the prize for that one was supposed to be going to the championship game with you. That would have been a prize, huh? You would have liked that. And then they told me, no, we're not doing that.
You put me in a position where I have to sound like I'm against watching a game with one of our most loyal fans because of how you've done this tournament.
And because you don't like Gen Pop, apparently.
Atop your ivory tower.
Yep. Shangri-La.
While wearing a silk robe of some sort behind a velvet rope.
Touch the hem of my garment.
Number 16.
That's AOL Instant Messenger?
I asked for some of the most iconic sounds in the history of sounds.
Game, bro.
It's iconic for like, what, 8-year generation of people?
Number 15. Is that a sound, or is that like Curb Your Enthusiasm? That's a song.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you cut it at da-da-da-da-da, and right there, that's a sound.
Number 14.
You've got mail.
2 AOLs.
Okay. Again,
You know all about that, Dan.
Again, it's a specific generation.
Number 13.
It's a song. This is a full-ass song.
That's a song.
You should let the whole 2 minutes play out.
That's a song, though. That's not a sound. Get it out of here. Number 12.
What are we doing?
This is not the correct
this
way
is
to
a
do
tournament
this.
of songs.
Produces this show.
This is not the right way to do this.
This is what you wanted, Dan?
No. Number 11.
In the criminal justice system, sexually based offenses are considered especially heinous. In New York City, the dedicated detectives who investigate these vicious felonies are members of an elite squad known as the Special Victims Unit.
This is not a
These are their
sound.
stories.
These are their stories. That would have been a good sounder. These are
These
their
are the stories. Or
Is this what you blew off our
Chung
fans
Chung.
for?
Like, those are the things.
Number 10.
Song.
You guys aren't doing
I don't know
this
what
right.
song that is. I know it's some
baseball
sports.
Baseball
tonight.
tonight.
Number
Oh,
9.
That's a sound.
That's a sound.
That's a sound. That's a sound. Yeah. Go ahead. What else we got?
Number 8.
GoldenEye.
Just cartoon music.
Oh, it's X-Men. Yeah.
Number 7.
This is.
Come on, I mean.
It's Back to the Future. But
Great.
like,
It's a great sound, though.
But it's a song. It's not a sound.
Didn't we have another Back to the Future?
Yeah, the one you guys played the other. That's a sound.
That is a sound.
2 AOLs and 2 Back to the Futures in the most iconic sounds in the history of sound.
Mori.
Number 6.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Oh yeah.
Terrific.
Dude, Jeremy, were you old enough for that?
I know that. That's like one of the first things I remember in my whole life, honestly.
Iconic Super Bowl commercial.
That's such
Truly.
a lie.
Iconic.
Truly. It's
Such
one of the first pop culture things that I remember.
You're too young, Tony. That was.
No, I'm
No, he's saying it's sad that I'm saying it's one of the first things I remember
I
in my
didn't say
life.
sad.
He said
I said
liar.
there's no way.
Am I a liar or am I lying?
You're lying.
Number 5.
Both.
Cut it there. Now it's a song.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys are bad at this. You guys don't know when to cut things off. Like, they need to be sounds, not songs.
You know what would have been a good sound?
Oh yeah.
Or just him going, Nazis.
I hate Nazis.
Man, we all almost yelled Mein Kampf earlier in the
Number
hour.
4.
Oh, Daily Double. Yeah, that's a sound.
That's great.
Number 3.
Oh, you know me, man. That's a sound.
Well,
That's a sound,
for this
baby.
to work comedically, they need to be short.
That was short.
I know.
That was
I'm
2
saying,
seconds.
I know. No, I'm saying that's the correct way to do it. That's not the incorrect way to do it. Number 2.
That's a song. A
No,
great
we're
song,
not doing
but a
this
song
right.
nonetheless.
How can we? How do our tournaments keep getting
Life finds a way, Dan.
worse?
Finds a way.
Number 1.
Number 1.
It's a song, but
Get
that's
me
not
a
number
new
one.
16.
Yeah, just let it play out.
Get me a new 16. I want to do something different with all of this. Let's talk about March Madness in a different way. We're going to get to Jessica and Taylor. Somehow Taylor has invaded the show again. Les Taylor is a life principle for me, but
He's a good producer.
Yeah, and he was on Pitch
yeah,
Clock
I've
yesterday
got
too.
so much proof of that in
Beloved.
the last.
To be fair, he
16
wasn't part of
sounds.
that.
Are you sure?
Maybe evidence he's a bad producer because he didn't want to help Mike Malley.
Wow, throwing Mike Malley under the bus.
Malley is a good producer.
Malley's great.
Yeah,
Check out Tony Brackett's, by the way.
I love those guys.
Ethan's on that one though, so
Ethan,
maybe don't check it
Me,
out.
Ethan, Malley, and Taylor breaking down the March Madness.
Well, are you
bracket
trying to
Sweet
sell it or
16.
not? What are you doing?
It's electric.
Just this is happening. Just 2 hands out.
Everyone's blaming everyone else.
I know how to save that
I
other
was
sound
complimenting
tournament
them.
if you want.
Go ahead, Billy.
So that sound tournament, what you do is like play the lightsaber one, Roy.
Sorry, say again?
Nothing, never mind.
Lewis was talking in my ear.
You guys do the rest of it.
All right.
Dan, no, we're gonna miss you.
No, Dan.
No, please don't go.
No, please, no.
No, we're gonna miss you so much.
How about we do a top 5?
All right,
Tony?
I thought he'd
Yeah.
never leave.
Yeah,
let's do it.
I got a good top 5 for
Guys,
Sweet
wait,
16.
before we get to the top 5, Riley stole those cookies, right?
Of course.
Okay.
I
course,
mean,
we're all the
I
same.
feel like
think-
we were being gaslit the entire time.
You guys think the nutritionist has the power to tell LeBron what he can and can't have on the
Okay,
plane?
good.
LeBron has his own nutritionist.
Look, you think the nutritionist has the balls to make a decision
the
like
unmitigated gall.
like to say, hey, I'm not going to check with Pat. I'm the boss here.
Do you think that there's a chance that they did it once and then as soon as they found out, it was an immediate, like, what are you doing? We have to bring the cookies back because apparently the cookies were back. So maybe the nutritionist will slap on the wrist and then.
Well,
continue
where's the
from there.
nutritionist now? Do we know? Did the
I don't know,
fixer
man.
take
We
care?
don't know. We don't know
Take
if the
care?
person's still working for the organization.
That's
No
what I'm
idea.
saying.
They didn't
I'm
say.
still confused about the whole ice cream thing. That part was just a joke.
It was a red herring, which is a terrible flavor of ice cream.
Yeah.
I've
So you had
never
a top
tried
5.
it,
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
All right, let's do that.
Right on.
but you have to whisper it.
No.
I gotta whisper it. This is an exciting top 5. I can't
Okay.
whisper it.
We
Okay.
don't want Dan to hear.
What do you
Teddy's
got?
top 5, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Jimmy John's. They're finally here and they're hot. Try the new toasted sandwiches at Jimmy
Ooh,
John's.
they're
Order
toasted now.
one today.
I have a Jimmy John's shirt. I should have wore it today.
Oof, you should have. All right. So this is an exciting list of exciting whites. These are the top 5 secret sauce players still left in March Madness.
Okay.
Number 5, the duo of Danny Wolf and Vladislav Golden for the Michigan Wolverines.
Oh yeah.
They're scrappy players and they're Bulldogs.
Danny Wolf is an Instagram legend, man.
Number 4, Richie Saunders, forward for your BYU Cougars. He's cerebral, deceptive speed, and he's sneaky athletic.
Shout out to the Cougs.
Number 3, Sean Padula. Guard for Ole Miss, gritty, tons of heart, out-hustles everyone. By the way, gained 15 pounds of muscle on the offseason. Allowed him to play big.
Padula.
Guard, though.
Italian?
Maybe.
Oh boy.
Jess?
Don't do it again.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Is he Italian? I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know his
Number 2,
personal history.
Grant Nelson.
No.
Alabama. What?
I was
Alabama.
waiting for you to say the team, dude.
Alabama. Final Four, 6'11", but he's a student of the game. He's got all the intangibles. I mean,
Roy, I was gonna ask, but no school for him. He's
real high motor,
just hanging out.
true gamer. Number 1, Braden Smith from Purdue. He's a real lunch pail and hard hat kind of guy, absolute gym rat. First guy in, last guy out, every single time.
That's every player who's ever played at Purdue.
This top 5 is
White?
sponsored by Jimmy John's. They're finally here and they're hot. Try the new toasted sandwiches at Jimmy John's. Order one today.
You know my favorite Purdue guy
Who's that?
that reminds me of Jimmy John's?
Zach Edey?
Eats one more.
Ooh.
And Zach Edey.
I want to on Zach Edey.
That's
There you
great.
go.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, those are both.
Look at you guys with puns, huh?
We try, man.
Wow.
We try out
We're
here.
one big family.
So, special sauce, is that what you call them?
The secret sauce.
Secret
sauce of March Madness. The white guys.
Who do you think of? I've got a name in my head. Follow me if you will. Ali Faroukmanesh, who I guess is Persian with that name, but he looks white. To me, when you said secret sauce white guy in March Madness, that's who I think of, right? Was it Northern Iowa or what was it?
Yeah, I think so, right? Northern Iowa?
Yes.
That was amazing.
Dude, that was a
That
time.
run was remarkable because what it was about him, it was the receding hairline.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that he was a short guy. It was the receding hairline as if he looked like he was already the 35-year-old accountant that he was destined to be.
I was just informed that he just got the Colorado State job yesterday.
Hey,
What?
Congratulations.
How do you like that?
That's amazing.
Well, congratulations.
I mean, knew that. That's why he brought him up.
Yeah, of course.
You were paying attention to the news.
Of course, yeah. I'm always tapped in the Colorado State job. Devendorf, not special sauce, right?
Snoggle. Special sauce.
Pittsnoggle, special
Special
sauce.
sauce.
Marshall Henderson, not special
No.
sauce.
You're right about Iranian, by the way. His father was a member of the Iranian men's national volleyball team.
There you go. Bloodlines.
Speaking of white guys in basketball, I mean, you and I were talking about this a little bit yesterday, but friend of the show, Zach Harper, has been launching
friend
a campaign, has been to really push a nickname for Nikola Jokic that is already out there, but isn't really his number one nickname. The number one nickname for Nikola Jokic is obviously the Joker. Everybody playing off the back of his last name. But the nickname that Zach wants to push, and I want to support him on this, Big Honey. I love Big Honey as a nickname for Nikola Jokic. This giant polar bear of a man.
Polar bears don't like honey, though.
All right, well, this giant bear of a man.
Thank you.
Who is so smooth with everything he does. Did you guys see the pass that he made yesterday?
Yeah, it's
I mean,
crazy.
he is
He's the
so
MVP.
ridiculous out there. And he's so skilled. And I just think the Big Honey is one of those throwback nicknames to like the 1970s when we had these crazy nicknames in basketball. I mean, look at this pass that you'll see. I mean, he's ridiculous. And I love the idea of giving him a name, Nikola Big Honey Jokic. Does anyone here agree with me?
I think it's a dumb nickname, and the fact
Why?
that you got it from Zach Harper makes it even dumber. To be honest with you, that guy's a hack, and that nickname's a hack, and the guy's name is Joker. It's a great nickname.
Why
it's
are
a
you
playoff-
guys
Hack
feuding?
Harper.
I'm not privy to the lore.
Why am I feuding with Zach?
Yes.
Because I have to do a podcast with him every single week. and
It's not
all
a
he does-
feud. It's like a long-standing,
Yeah,
like
this is like-
eternal beef.
Do the Hatfields and McCoys have a feud?
I don't have a feud with anyone that I have to record with here.
Bull-
I don't. Who would my feud be
You
with?
threw Mally under the bus.
No, we're friends. It's
Hands.
in jest.
Arms
Taylor?
locked.
Love Taylor. I love all those guys.
The Amina
The dog
Zach
is here,
thing
though.
is like a classic. Will they? Won't they? You know?
They won't,
Oh,
or unless they do.
Billy, on the other hand, he has feuds.
I do.
Yeah, he does.
With
Yeah.
who?
Tony.
No, it's
I
not,
have feuds.
it's not a long-standing feud.
It's a
I think
family
I'm
feud.
very easy to get along with.
Earlier, we were out in the commissary, and Billy walked up to Tony and Taylor and looks
No,
at both
this
of
is
them
out of context.
and he goes, I got to change something that I said to you guys a while ago.
Which one?
I had told Taylor that he was in better shape than Tony, but Taylor, you're losing it. Tony's in better shape than you are, which prompted about 10 seconds later, both of them dropping to the ground and doing push-ups. But
I did more, by the way.
And of course, Tony did more to prove his manliness.
So, but no, it doesn't just stop there though. I have gotten them to agree to compete against each other in taking the middle school presidential fitness exam.
I'm gonna crush him.
Yes.
I'm gonna crush him.
I heard you guys yelling
Oh my
about that. I
God.
was like, "What are you talking
It
need
just
to do
takes
this.
you going up and telling one of them they're in better shape than the other one. Then 5 seconds later, they're doing push-ups
So-
on the floor and they're doing the presidential
Incredible.
exam.
Just to
against each
clarify,
other.
Billy not only has a feud with Tony,
I
he
don't have
has
a
a feud
feud with
with
anyone.
Taylor. If you
No.
listen to Mystery Crate this week, we will be rehashing the fashion show that we are going to have,
wow.
where Taylor doesn't want to dress Billy, he wants to dress Chris Cody, because the two of them have a bit of a feud going on.
No. Me and Taylor also, if I'm going to be honest with you, the one feud that we do have going on is Taylor was all in on this whole NASCAR thing that we were going to be doing, going to these races, driving the cars around, doing all this NASCAR stuff. And then Homestead Miami comes around. We go and we drive a car around the track. We have the big race coming up. And he's like, can't go. Got to watch hoops.
Real hoopers know.
Someone's got to watch hoops around
Exactly
here, Billy.
right.
Me
Thank
and Taylor
you.
are the only two people watching March Madness. I'm watching the women.
What?
He's watching the men's.
Well, you
Tony
guys should
Brackett's,
do,
by the way.
You should do a
Other than
segment
Tony
together.
Brackett's.
You guys should do a segment together or something.
Well,
Just talk
I have
about
good
it.
news for you.
What's that?
We do have a segment together.
What?
It's called God Bless College Basketball /
Wait
God
a
Bless March
second.
Madness. Wow. And you're going to listen to it
When?
right now.
Wow.
Right now.
Yo.
Go pee-pee.
Right now.
Right now. God bless college basketball, Taylor.
God bless college basketball, Jess.
Welcome back to God Bless March Madness, presented by Priceline. Dreaming about that trip? Book it and go to your happy price with Priceline. So, we work for a show, Taylor, that just takes a lot of big dumps on things that they don't like or understand. And one of those things this past week has been March Madness. And I would like to be here to say, as someone who sat on the couch pretty much from Thursday morning until Monday night without moving, watching every March Madness game in the women's and the men's tournament, it was pretty fun. It was pretty exciting. And people that are upset with the lack of upsets, well, there were some bangers of games. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. We are, in this office, the two most ball watchers, ball knowers, ball lovers.
It doesn't take much to be a one of the most ball knowers. I will raise my hand up.
The bar is...
The fact that I'm a ball knower in basketball.
The bar is, did you watch a tournament, or did you watch an NCAA basketball game before the tournament?
Yes.
If you could check that box, you're in the 1 percentile here.
Exactly. The Houston-Gonzaga game was great. Houston blocked their game-tying three-pointer. The Dairy Queen buzzer beater in the Maryland game was excellent. These are all just from the men's tournament. Florida and UConn down to the wire. Oregon, Arizona was just a nail biter. Oregon Duke in the women's tournament too was also a nail biter. We'll get to that in a little bit. But this has been the most watched NCAA tournament for the men in 32 years. So despite what people on the show may say, everyone's very interested in the NCAA tournament. They're watching, and we're going to talk about it a little bit here. First things first, we miss Stugotz. We miss his presence. We miss most of all his weekend observations. Taylor misses having someone to text his errant thoughts to. He's just been texting, a few of us like his weekend observations, and we're like, Taylor, this is great. Like, why are you writing like this over a text message? So he's going to get them out of his system right now. So these are his round of 32 men's NCAA tournament observations. Taylor, take it away.
Death, taxes, and Tom Izzo having his team playing their best basketball in March. Sparty. Amir Khan, McNeese State's manager. Sister Jean just called. Even she thinks you're doing too much.
So mean, but...
Alabama, do it against the school with a football team. Coach Cal in the Sweet 16. Kentucky in the Sweet 16. The rare win-win. Gonzaga versus Houston. The two longest active streaks of Sweet 16 appearances. You know what that means, Jess.
Something's got to give.
Something had to give. You're on it today.
I'm so on it.
If you looked up senior guard play in the dictionary, you'd see a picture of Florida's Walter Clayton Jr. Derek Queen hitting a buzzer beater against Colorado State. You know what he did, Jess?
What did he do?
He called game.
Ooh, it's a good one.
You call him Dusty May. I call him Dusty March.
No one likes a dusty anything.
That is a good take.
I mean, especially March. Do some spring cleaning. Like, we got to get the dust out of here.
The guy at work who says I had that in my other bracket. Respectfully, go to hell. Speaking of hell, our Bryles. Jess, those are the round of 32 observations.
Well done. Well, great job with the beeps. Next time we need to insert a top 5 in there to really get you juggling the fanfare and the beeps. But excellent, excellent work. So we've got even more basketball this upcoming weekend because the men's tournament was so chalky and the women's tournament. That means the next round is going to be highly competitive. The ratings are expected to go up even higher as we see some of these huge juggernaut teams compete against each other this weekend. One game that I'm super duper looking forward to, there's a couple games, but I'll start with this one. Notre Dame and TCU in the women's Sweet 16 round is going to be, in my opinion, I think it's going to be a really good game. This is a rematch of a game that was in November that TCU won. Notre Dame had a lead through 3 quarters. TCU overcame the lead, came back, won the game. Haley Van Lith, we talked about it on the show this week. She has a really interesting story. This is her third school. You probably remember her from the LSU Iowa game last year. She also was on the USA basketball 3x3 team this summer. But she is having a really great season with TCU, and this is her first Sweet 16 in, I can't even remember how long, over a decade, I want to say. And Sedona Prince, who is their big, is also playing really well. She's averaging 17.5 points per game, 9.5 rebounds per game. And Notre Dame's going to have to do a lot to match up with a big of her size. But on the flip side of that, Notre Dame has Hannah Hidalgo, who is a finalist for National Player of the Year. She's a phenomenal player. If you like college hoops and you like seeing a guard who is averaging 4 steals per game, like 24 points per game, who is just getting after it on both sides of the ball, defense and offense, Hannah Hidalgo is your gal. She is having a great season. So are Sonia Citron and Olivia Miles, the other 2 guards on that team that are probably going to be WNBA lottery picks later this year. So I'm excited for that game. I'm also looking forward to the North Carolina Duke rematch of a game. This is like the rubber match, I guess. Third time they're playing against each other. Series is split right now. Duke was sneakily won the ACC tournament in women's basketball. We figured they'd do it on the men's side. The women's team, their emphasis is defense, 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 defense. So they have the ability to really draw out these rock fight type games. And so this will be a huge game for them against, obviously, their rival Taylor's alma mater, North Carolina. The last 2-3 game I want to talk about in the women's Sweet 16 round is NC State and LSU. Again, LSU is a team I think a lot of people are familiar with. Kim Mulkey, obviously the Hall of Fame head coach for LSU, and Flau'jae Johnson, who's in all of the commercials this year. She's in all the Powerade commercials. She's a rapper. She's also a great basketball player. And Anissa Morrow, her teammate, is averaging, I think it's 14 rebounds per game. She's just crazy on the board. So LSU, even though they're a 3 seed, they had some health stuff at the end of the season that I think impacted their seeding a little bit, but not the best guard play on LSU's team, which is the complete opposite of NC State, which is great guard play. So NC State was a Final Four team last year. Those two are now playing again in another rematch. There's a lot of rematches in the Sweet 16 round in the women's NCAA tournament, but that game's going to be, I think, really good as well. So tune in to all of the women's NCAA tournament Sweet 16 games this weekend. They're also, the 1 seeds, I think they're all probably pretty easily going to go through, except maybe USC. Now that JuJu Watkins is out, they're playing against Kansas State, the 5 seed. So I will be watching all of those. Taylor, you're going to tell us now what men's games to look out for this weekend.
You mentioned a lot of rematches on the women's side. The storyline I'm looking forward to watching on the Sweet 16 is a rematch of a game from November where Duke won at Arizona, and now they're playing against each other in the Sweet 16. I hate to say this is Duke's most complete team in decades.
God, I hate that you have to say that.
And I have this as a, if not now, when season for John Shire, because when you look at this Duke team, they really don't have any weaknesses. They have guards, Concanepo, Tyrese Proctor, Sion James. They all shoot better than 39% from 3. And then in their front court, they have Malawach, and then, of course, they have Cooper Flagg. And if you're watching this Arizona team, if they are to pull off the upset, it's going to be because of one player, Caleb Love. And that name might sound familiar. He was a first-team all Big 12 player this season for the Wildcats. And the narrative for this Wildcat team has been they're going to go as far as Caleb Love will take them. In 24 wins this season, he's shooting 46.7% from the field. In their 12 losses, he's shooting 31.8%. So he's a guy who's either going to win you a game or shoot you completely out of it. But there's also drama, Jess.
Ooh, I love drama.
Yeah, people love the drama. Caleb Love grew up a Duke fan.
Oh, no.
And he wanted to play for Duke. Duke took another point guard in their class, Jeremy Roach, and was like, hey, you two are going to come here. We'll figure it out. Caleb Love was like, no, we're kind of rivals from USA basketball. This is not going to work. So Caleb Love went to Carolina just because he wanted to play Duke. And then in 2022 in the Final Four, Caleb Love was the one who hit the dagger 3 to put the final nail in Coach K's coffin.
What? Oh, I didn't know any of this. This is great lore.
And if you know how sometimes you say, like, I believe something, but you don't really believe it? Like, I think Caleb Love would rather beat Duke and end Duke's season than win a national championship.
I mean, I believe, based on the limited things I know about him, I would believe that. And I also think that a lot of college basketball fans are like, I'd rather see anyone else win than Duke this year and every year.
Yeah, and Caleb Love is I say this as a Carolina guy, but he's a very easy guy to root for in terms of a March guy that can get hot, kind of like Kemba Walker. The problem for Arizona, it's hard to see him staying consistent for 6 games, but against a team like Duke, it only takes 1 game. And I will say, if Caleb Love pulls this upset off in the Dean Dome, I want his Arizona jersey in the rafters.
It's the height of winter, but it's also a great time to gather with friends and enjoy some Miller Lite. That's right, Miller Lite has the taste you know you can depend on. No games, no gimmicks, just that beautiful white can and a great tasting beer for people like you and me who love the taste of beer. Because Miller Lite is brewed for taste. It hits different than other light beers, with simple ingredients like malted barley for rich, balanced toffee note flavors and that iconic golden color that we all know and love. And here's the most important part for me. I mean, I like all the things, but 96 calories and just 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces, Miller Time is always a good time. The original light beer since 1975 and still the very best one. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
All right, it's time for Thursday Thunder, presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. JuJu.
Thursday Thunder is among us yet again. Last week, of course, 2 out of 3, same bat stories, same bat channel. But this week, March Madness is on the rise, and I'm going to start with the first leg with my brother, the SEC champion, the All-American, the girl dad, Walter Clayton Jr. for over 15 points tonight. It's a big game, and he's going to need them. Them stars going to have to come out and shine, and he's the brightest star they got, so lock my brother in right now. You dig me? Leg 2. I'm going with my dog, Trayvon Brazile, Calipari and them boys. You feel me? Another big game. Trayvon will dunk on you right where you stand. I hope you know that. But ladies, gentlemen, I hope you know Trayvon will dunk on you right where he stands. But I'm going with his rebounds tonight. 7 rebounds, of course, for my dog tonight. Amin, I saw you with your hand. Now, what you got for me, bro?
Amin is trying to fix my headset because I could barely hear you, JuJu, and I'm also just fixated on your gear. I don't know how you got that. Everyone is trying to get the gear you're presently wearing. I'm sure they can find the sound of David Samson saying tetas as awkwardly as David Samson does it. Where did you get that gear?
Yeah, I know people who know people. Call my people, and then I get them in touch with some of my other people, and we can talk after lunch. You feel me? But third leg on this Thursday Thunder, I'm going tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna have our feet kicked up by this time. Tomorrow we're gonna go with Trey Kaufman-Renn. You feel me? For over 7 rebounds for them Purdue-ski Boilermakers. You got to know it's a big game, and he gonna need 7 boards, and he's gonna get them. You feel me?
You're very confident, JuJu.
Oh, yes. I'm confident in that. But guess what? This week, there's more. I'm going. You know I love my ladies. I got nothing but ladies jerseys around me. We're going to the ladies tournament as well. Tomorrow, UCLA versus Ole Miss. I'm taking the points. What they got? 8.5 points? Scooby Snacks. They're going to drag Ole Miss by 8.5 points. Lock it in. Second leg. You did me. Second leg, I see my sister Jessica Smetana. And you also know who else I see? Hannah Hidalgo and them girls. They're going to also cover against TCU. Salute to the Horned Frogs. Salute to Haley Van Lith. Powerful story this week. But tomorrow it's over with. You feel me? Notre Dame is going to slay them and drag them over 6.5 points. You feel me? At the end of that game, for sure. Last leg, I'm traveling to Storrs, Connecticut. I'm traveling to see my big brother Gino. I'm traveling to see all the stars that he got aligned on that team. And so you got to know, UConn girls, minus 14.5 points. Lock it in. 6 legs this week. Choose 3. Mismatch some of the 3 because you know 1 or 2 might be stragglers. You dig it.
I am surprised by the level of confidence you are showing. David Samson seems delighted here. We are finally at our Germ-Off, our germaphobe-off. I don't know exactly how to do this because we haven't done it before. I'm going to need honesty from the 2 participants. So in order to keep this authentic, what I'm going to ask both of you to do is give me a number from 1 to 10, 10 being the worst of how you feel about what I present to you, and you tell me honestly how you feel about the scenarios I have here so that your objective is to just be honest, not win the contest. Because JuJu says, David, that he's more of a germaphobe than you are. So let's begin with JuJu, and let's begin with using an airplane bathroom. 1 to 10, JuJu, on your disgust of using an airplane bathroom.
First of all, listen to Nothing Personal with David Samson right now. As soon as you stop hearing this, go to the YouTube and click. My brother's doing fantastic work. Nothing Personal with David Samson is available. A new episode every single damn day. Check out my brother. I would never touch the handle on a bathroom door on the airplane. I'm disgusted. 10 is most disgusted. I'm disgusted 11.
David, where are you on this?
You got to leave some room, JuJu, and I appreciate absolutely the promotion of Nothing Personal. Airplane bathrooms are FEU, for emergency use only, but I only have them at about a 7.5.
Wow.
Nice.
Number 1 or number 2?
Oh, any of them. Of course, number 2 would be a 7.75, and that in my life of travel, and I can keep count. It's not even on one hand, including trips to Asia and Australia, that I've actually done that, and it was always based on sickness.
JuJu, how many times have you used an airplane bathroom?
I've never been on the inside of an airplane bathroom before in my entire life.
I believe it.
I just can't fathom that. I always go in the airport. Like I use the TT. I go TT in the number 1 in the airport before I get on every plane ride.
TT is
David, were you the one that told us that you used the bathroom of like on the airplane of like the president of the Mets or something? Like you did number 2?
No, I did not. That was Randy Levine.
Yeah.
I was just on the plane.
He could smell it. That was Yankee president Randy Levine. Please put his photo up the way we did last time to embarrass Randy Levine for stinking up a bathroom airplane.
Denied it, didn't he?
I don't know whether he denied it. Did he deny it? I don't remember. Did he deny it, David? Do you remember?
It doesn't matter. There is no denying facts. It doesn't mean he's a bad guy. It means he had a bad taco. It's not the end of the world. It was just hard to ever forget. It's the only thing about losing smell and taste that actually is redeeming.
Hey, Nothing Personal every single day, 8 a.m. with David Samson and Matthew Coca. Lock it in now.
Roy, how does David Samson say the word on JuJu's shirt?
Tatas?
Water parks, David Samson. Water parks. How do you feel about water parks?
That is a 6.9.
Nice.
How about you, JuJu?
I'll go into the water park, but I'm not touching a towel. I'll bring my own towel to sit around on every bench I'll sit by. And I'm not touching the water because kids go PP and TT in those pools all day long. No, thank you.
So I think it's important to add, JuJu, that when I had little children, I had to go to water parks with them in my efforts to be a fake good father. And I would attempt and would go in the water park. But since my youngest got bar mitzvahed, I can tell you I've never been to a water park and I will never go again. And I've alerted my children, should they have children, that I'm not the grandfather to take them to said water park. So I'm done with them forever.
All right, but
nice.
Can you give me a number of times you've been in the water at a water park, David?
At least a dozen. Remember, I had 3 kids, and so at least a dozen.
How about you, JuJu? Have you ever been in the water at a water park?
I have not, but that may be on the I can't swim side, but we're not going to go with stereotypes, so I'm just going to say no.
All right. I don't know if this
didn't need to
applies
bring
to this question as well, but taking a bath at a hotel, taking a bath at a hotel.
Can you clarify bath? Do we talk
bath.
about like
a
fill
bath,
up a tub?
a bath.
and sit
Yes,
there?
not a shower, a bath.
Man, that's the most disgusting thing in the world. Do you want scabies? Do you want the hepatitis B vaccine? No, thank you. That's up there again. 10 in my book. No,
David?
thank you.
I am tied with you, Juju. That is a hard never. And I have been in hundreds of hotels, thousands of nights, and I am at 0 and will die at 0.
I'm learning that I might be a germaphobe because I'm like I'm with them on all this.
Okay, picking your nose, Juju.
Oh man, I gotta wash my hands 100% of the time first, but I'll go get a tissue and roll it together and then get up there. I won't actually touch my nose with my
Twist
finger.
it up into like a spike, and then you just start digging around like a stalactite, right?
David?
Yep.
It depends on the length of my fingernail. If there's any risk of a bleeder, I won't put the finger up there. But if there is not, and I'm in private and I've got something that needs to get taken care of, I will do it. But of course, it requires, obviously, sanitizer both pre and post.
Juju, number of times in your life you have taken a sip from anyone else's water bottle?
I already know the answer to this one.
0 ever in my entire life. My girlfriend be mad at me behind that. Like, I love you, baby, but I don't know what you've been sipping on earlier. I take my own straws with me every single where I go. Wrap straws, by the way. I don't trust people's. No, never. 10.
David?
So for me, during marathons, during some athletic endurance events, and on Survivor on the island, I had to do that. But that's what it takes. It's either to be on Survivor or to be in the middle of some crazy event where I would have no choice but to do it. Other than choosing death, I would not prefer to do that, but I would not die to not do it.
Juju, allowing another person to feed you a bite of their food from their fork.
Never in the history of Julian.
I don't care. I don't care if it's my child or my lover. That is a hard never. Hard.
Getting in.
And I take plastic silverware with me. Every restaurant I go to, I ask for to-go silverware, even when we're sitting down to eat, because I don't want the water spots and
Getting in bed after a long day without taking a shower. David Samson.
Never.
Never done it?
Wow.
Nope.
Juju?
I am never.
I second that emotion. Not one time. I don't even sit on my couch without taking off my outside pants. So
Me too. Juju. Wow. So Juju, this is so good. I keep inside pants and outside pants. And when I get home, my outside pants come off and my inside pants come on. My inside pants do not see the light of day ever.
David, I'm gonna tell you right now. This I was gonna say to Juju before you answered. Well, this is a two Americas thing because I feel like most black people, we got the outside clothes. Don't sit on the couch or on the bed with your outside clothes. It's something we've all heard. And then David comes in and says he's got outside clothes too. I'm impressed.
Yep, me too. I'm impressed thoroughly. Nothing personal. Every day, 8:00 a.m. You feel me, Matthew Coca? I see you.
Typing on another person's computer, Juju.
Oh man. That scenario actually just hasn't never come up in my life. But now the more I think about it, people are gross. People dig boogers and keep going. I saw you and Matthew Kugler in the kitchen not too long ago. I wouldn't do that. So I put that on like a 6 out of the Richter scale.
You saw me and Matthew Kugler doing what in the
touching each other's keyboards apparently.
What
Valerie, no?
What I don't even know. What did you see us doing in the other room, David? How do you feel about this?
That's about a 3 because I have sanitizer with me at all times. So I'll do a post sanitize if I have to do that. But that one is only a 3 for me.
Any objections, Juju, to the outdoor shower?
Oh, yeah. That goes back to my second answer. The kid can't swim, so I'm never really in lakes or ponds or beach water to even require that shower. So I just never done it before.
David?
Yeah, I have no problem with the outdoor shower. You do it to get the sand off your feet because I don't want 1 grain of sand in my car or in my house. So I'll use that to get rid of any sort of dirt, sand, or anything just to get me to the shower in order to get my inside clothes back on. So I would have that as a 1 or even a 0.
I have for you here one that I think is the best one I'm asking you, but from among those that I've asked you about, which is the most disgusting one for you, David? Of all the ones that I have asked, which is the one that repulses you the most?
The airplane bathroom. It is absolutely disgusting. I find it to be hard to fathom when I have to use the bathroom. And I have a whole system. I've got wipes and I've got tissues and I've got paper towels. I don't actually touch anything inside the bathroom, including the handle on the outside of the bathroom, right outside the cockpit. It's a whole thing that I do, and I really try not to do it, even to go pee-pee.
JuJu?
Nice. The bathtub was pretty high on that list. Like sitting down in that bathtub, especially after watching the movie Saltburn, I just don't want a bathtub anymore at all. So yeah, bathtubs are gross.
So JuJu, I would only add that it's not just bathtubs in hotels. My hotel situation is I have towels, and I put towels down everywhere in the room because I don't want to sit anywhere where there is a couch because, believe me, the blue light gets to the couch faster than the bathtub. So, and I don't touch remotes. I don't use TVs inside hotel rooms at all, ever.
Yeah.
So hotel rooms are a problem for me, and that's not ideal.
Samson?
Yeah, for sure.
Bowling shoes.
when I was a kid in Wisconsin, we would bowl a lot. When I was in college, I was on a bowling team, and I would wear bowling shoes, but I would personally do the wiping and the spraying at the bowling alley, not let the guy for $2 an hour who's smoking a doob do it. I wanted to try to clean it, but I never spent the money to buy my own bowling shoes.
JuJu, bowling shoes? Have you ever worn bowling shoes? Have you ever?
No, I never worn bowling shoes, maybe because I'm poor, but I went bowling one time before, and I refused to stick my fingers in the balls because I'm not even playing those games. I rolled the bowling ball like without the fingers in it. Not to mention, well, it goes without saying, I'm a terrible bowler.
I think JuJu is more of a germaphobe than David Samson, but we're going to close it out with a couple of questions, and I think this is the best one I'm going to ask you. David Samson, being involved in an orgy.
Oh, wow.
I'm in. Let's not kid ourselves. If you're giving me that opportunity, listen, I am happy to do a post-shower, maybe a pre-shower, whatever it takes. But that's in.
I'm going to use this opportunity to respond to something earlier on the show because I love you, baby. I'm not going to answer this question. My girlfriend listens to this show. I would never be in an orgy, not even with the hottest of women. But Amin El Hassan, you feel me? On the LeBron side of things.
Wait. Before we move off of this, I just want to do one quick impression. This is David Samson being invited to an orgy. Where do I sign up? Just got my Purell right here. Let's go.
What were you saying, JuJu?
With the LeBron conversation, I think we're taking it a little too serious. I think it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the microphone. Imagine how many times LeBron been walking through the kitchen in the house. Mm-hmm. He just look up on the TV and somebody's saying something ridiculous about it. He like, okay, what in the world? And then more than that, imagine he in the kitchen in Savannah coming up to him like, LeBron, I thought you said you flew to Akron yesterday. These folks got you in Miami discussing a return to Miami. What? You know, I just put a bid in on a house in San Domingo or wherever the hell, San Fernando. And he got to deal with that. Now he got to expose you calling people in Akron. Did you see LeBron? And now he got to just, okay, baby, dang, I was in Vegas shooting craps. I'm sorry. We was headed to Denver. I didn't want to let you know, but now he got to get exposed to that. And them folks be like commenting on how much money he spent on his body. Like, come on. Savannah, see that on TV? So you can spend $1 million on your body, but you can't open the youth center I've been telling you about for my auntie. And now LeBron win horse, you here, baby, go here. Gotta re-diversify the whole funds. Like
Juju, but this is my thing. Number one, the offenders of that variety typically aren't Brian Windhorst. Number two, and he brought up an example of something that Brian Windhorst was incorrect on. He should have been like, man, Brian doesn't know what he's talking about. Brian's always incorrect. Brian, I don't know who Brian talks to, but Brian pretends like he's my friend. That's just a wild ass thing. That's like he says it's weird. I said, no, that's weird. That's weird that you would say that because again, this isn't a dude who's ever presented that way ever. And I'm not talking about on air. I'm not even behind the scenes. He's never presented like that. So that was the thing for me. If he had just said Brian Windhorst doesn't know what he's talking about, I'm like, cool, man. Like, whatever. Like that to me is totally fair to say because at that point it's a matter of like opinion as opposed to making a declarative statement that is factually incorrect.
I mean, I still think we don't know what that man be seeing. We see Brian Windhorst at the finals whenever we see him. We don't know what the inner work is.
I know what Brian be saying. That's my point.
But what I'm saying, look, brother, you have screamed at everybody on the show today. We get it, how you feel about it. But what I'm telling you is, like, for example, early in the show, you said that Cam McCormick's body was a little gelatinous. Dare I say, if Metal Art Media interview Cam McCormick next week, he can give his true feelings, and he has full within his rights to say exactly how he feels about Akbar Domingo, or whoever the hell.
First of all,
domestique.
All right. So
we can't be mad at him.
You made him Dominican, Juju.
Yeah, he's not Domingo.
Everything is on this show is Dominican, but neither here nor there.
But Juju, what I would say is two things. Number one, I haven't covered Cam McCormick since he was 15 years old. Right? And he's now 40. I haven't done that. Number two, I'm not a football journalist. I'm just a guy. My point isn't that he can't say those things. I'm saying you going to pick Brian Windhorst of all people? Like,
I think
that'd be the
bro, it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the microphone,
no,
bro.
It's not. What are you talking about? He's saying something that's completely out of left field and incorrect and presenting it as fact about someone who never does that. That's
he
my
never
point.
done that to you is my thing.
Not about
I just think that the world.
Juju, you're doing the same thing Dan does, which is you guys are not having a straightforward thing. I'm saying that this dude on the record writing, I read his stuff for a decade before I even knew the dude. On podcasts, on television, on shows with him, on shows when I'm not with him. I haven't worked with him for 4 or 5 years now. I've seen his work. He never, ever, ever, ever even insinuates or hints, that's my boy, or anything like that. He doesn't talk like that. Dude, I'm his friend. I've never heard him call me his friend or anything like that. That's not how that dude talks. Juju, it would be like if someone said, Juju always picking up food out the garbage and eating. Imagine if LeBron James said that. The most famous person in that sport said that about you. I would do the same thing. I say, yo, you can say Juju jokes too much. You can say Juju this or whatever. You're not going to say Juju eats out the garbage. I know this dude. This is like the number one thing he doesn't do. And that's what I'm getting at. It's when you pick something that is so wild off base against someone who does not even do that kind of journalism that you talking about. You say the rabbit got the gun. Why isn't the rabbit shooting off?
No. I said nothing about a G word.
Rabbit got the microphone. Why isn't the rabbit talking about the people who will actually be doing the offensive stuff? Why are you talking about Brian?
Like as an example with Dan, when he wouldn't take the L with the cookie situation earlier. It's just like people as a whole, we just have to be more objective listeners. We need to stop hearing rumors and believing them. No matter if it's LeBron, no matter who it is, we have to be more objective. And especially 100. On the lower level when we have people's numbers. Like if you hear something about somebody and you just go with the rumor and you just believe it, you're making Middle Earth worse. Mm-hmm. Like you're playing a part in the world that's terrible. I think we should just all do ourselves a favor and start researching, do our own research so we just be more objective because we live in a country where we hear the most ridiculous stuff coming from up top every day. You feel me? So I feel like this is some more of that stuff where we as fans, we as listeners, we as friends, we just have the right to be objective and just say, you know what? I'm not going to just believe everything I hear. I'm going to check my resources and check my sources. You feel me? And if that man say, hey, this is how I feel, I think he's well within his rights to say how he feels. You feel me? Nothing personal with David Samson every single morning at 8 o'clock a.m. I'm so sorry for wasting your time, big bro.
I don't think it's a waste of time. I do think, though, that people that are listening to this feel like they may have been sold a bill of goods because they did not think that this was going to be an area of the world where LeBron would be found in the middle of a Germ-Off. But the last question of the Germ-Off is to David Samson, and it's the tiebreaker. They are now tied. The answer to JuJu on this one I know to be it's never happened. Has this ever happened to you, David Samson? Have you ever broken into a veteran's house to take a shit while you're running a marathon and clogged the toilet and left without flushing?
I think JuJu did that too.
Yes, I have.
Samson's the loser. JuJu is the winner. He is the best of all the germaphobes. Hey. Thank you for participating.